Right. So recently, they announced on Twitter, and I don't know if you're following Cat Wu, but I think it would be great to follow her if you like anything related to Claude Code. I think she's actually if I'm not mistaken, she might be the lead. But I digress. So Claude Code is a tool that I talked about in the past, and I really liked it. The only problem was it was a little bit expensive, especially when it comes to tokens and when you are working on large code bases. It becomes really hard to justify the cost in relation to how good the output is. I mean, obviously, the output is great, but it's just that for the average person, you're probably burning through about $30 working on a big application. So they announced just recently that you can actually use it with your subscription, your Claude subscription. So you don't need to buy extra API credits and all that, which I think is actually a good step in the right direction. Because if I already have a plan, why not just allow me to use my the amount of like messages I would have used in the interface inside of just something like a code editor or something like that. So I think this is great. Anthropic needs to be given a huge flowers for this. And I hope the other providers actually follow. Because I believe if you also have something like OpenAI followed something like this, that means that you don't have to buy the same subscription everywhere you go. But moving on, let's get into a bit of the specifics. They do have a blog post on this, and it's saying that you can use Claude Code with your Pro and your Max plan. So the Pro plan is actually the one which is $20 a month. And then there's Max plans with two different offerings. There's one with $100 a month, which offers 5 times Pro usage, and then there's one for $200 a month if you're really um, a power user. You can go for like 20 times the Pro usage. And this blog kind of walks you through how to actually get Claude Code set up with your plan. The most important thing I will say is that you do need to update the application. So if you had it in the past and you've already been using it, but you sort of left it, you're going to have to do an upgrade to Claude Code before you can actually start using it the with this current system that's being put in place. So they kind of tell you if you're having troubles, you have to log out, then you have to update, which is kind of what I was talking about, and rate limits. So I think that's the most important thing. So you get about 45 messages for every 5 hours. So that means that if you time this correctly, you could possibly have about 4 sessions in a day. Of course, this is me counting 24 hours, but otherwise, I still think that this is good because I've been able to use this with a relatively large code base, and it's been able to do some refactors. It's also been able to do some integrations for me with the backend, and I don't think I have any complaints at this. Um, Resetting every 5 hours, given the price I was paying before that for this, I think it's honestly good. But if you find yourself that maybe you're getting timed out more often, you might want to go for the one which is $100 a month. I think that's food for thought. And you get access to Sonnet 4, but you won't be able to use Opus 4, which I think is a good thing. Opus is just way too expensive for this. But inside of the max plans, I think you do get access to Opus. Let's see that. Yeah, so you do get access to Opus. Um, so I mean, yeah, I think the most important thing is now just to see how it works. If you really want that, maybe you can check out the blog post using Claude Code with your Pro or Max plan. And I think this is the best value offering in terms of like the code tools. Why I feel that is because there's a way Claude Code just knows how to search your code base. And we're going to see that in a bit because I want to do a demo. And what we're going to do is that we're going to find an existing UI. We're going to use V0 to recreate that for us. We're going to install that, and then we're going to use Claude Code to make some modifications. I think let's jump into that right now, actually. So we have this um, design that I found design daily. So I think we're just going to go to the free design so that we don't infringe on anything. Actually, it was already part of the free designs. So I'm just going to take a screenshot of this, and I'm just going to take it to V0, and I'm going to tell it to recreate this. I'll probably use the medium model for this. and I'll let it go. If you've also not used V0, I think it is probably one of the better front end UI tools, if I'm not mistaken. If you really, if you're okay with Next.js, I feel like that's the only thing that, well, I mean, it depends how you look at it, but it creates the code in Next.js, which is probably a plus um, for most people because Next.js has sort of become the default thing, the default framework for React. So if you don't have any problem with that, then I feel like V0 is uh, a very good front end offering. The alternative is Lovable, but I've tried using Lovable and I don't know. And if you're not aware, you can actually even connect branches, so you can have this sync up to your GitHub. And I think that removes some of the back and forth where you had to copy components from here and then you actually bring them into your project. And then you have to make changes and then you have to pull them in. It became a bit messy, but I think V0 has kind of figured it out now that you can actually push changes directly. So a huge plus. Um, and I'm just going to let it run right now and finish doing its thing. It probably takes some time. Okay, so it turns out we actually had a bit of a hiccup with the generation, but it's all good. I think it's now doing it. Um, just wait a little bit. So what I did is that when it wasn't generating when it wasn't generating anything, I just refreshed the page and I told it to continue. So I feel like sometimes maybe you get stuck in thinking, which is something that, just a heads up. But I think that's really rare because I haven't seen this too often. In fact, I don't think this is. I've been using this for heavily for like the last 3 days, and I don't think I've seen this before. So I don't think it should happen too often. Okay, so finally, we have the page. Let me just pop this out. Does it look exactly like what we wanted? Let's just take a look. Can I not go back? Okay. So there's pretty much a sidebar. There's this. Oh, okay. I see what happened. So it mistook the orange bar for part of the sidebar. But that's fine. I mean, we could change this if we wanted to, but I am not going to fuss too much about it. But if you wanted, you could actually use the select, and then you could change the general look and feel. So I'm just going to maybe select this. No, I think it's fine actually. I think it's fine. I'll just take it the way it is. All right. So what we're going to do is that we're going to, I think, to download code, and then we're just going to run this command. So we're just going to copy this, and we're going to head over to cursor. I've already opened up a folder here, and I'm just going to paste in this command, and I'm going to run it, and it should be able to download and install all the packages that we need. I'll just use all the defaults at this point. But yeah, you have two options. You can also download the zip if you want to, um, and you can connect it to your GitHub. So right now, since this is just something that I want to demo, I don't really want to save it to my GitHub. And let's just see how far this has come. I do like Slate actually. It looks like you are using um, use legacy dependencies. Not too sure which option you should have gone with at that point, but I think any works really. Nope. Okay. So it exists, and we're just going to cd into my app, and we're going to npm. I don't know if it's already installed the dependencies. Oh yeah, I did. And what is the package manager that we're using? Probably npm. So I'll just do npm run dev. So it's running on 303. Okay, so maybe this is a good place to start. The application seems to have been created, but um, we don't have it linked up yet. So what I can do is that I can just open this, and I'm going to source for me. I do sometimes have to do this. I have to source the bash rc file. Otherwise, I'll load an old Claude instance. I was doing some post editing, and I actually realized that I didn't show you how to log into Claude Code. Um, let's just actually do that right now. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to log out of what I have, and I'm going to, depending on how you have it set up. So right now I know that my Claude Code has an issue where I try to install it globally, but if you don't have it already installed, you can just come to the blog post. I think the easiest way is to, there's another blog post. Yeah, getting started with Claude Code. So you need to have these requirements. You need to have Node.js 18. You need to have Git. And the good thing is that they give you links to these. So you can just download these and actually have them. And then you just get this command and then you run it. Now, the most important thing is that you probably shouldn't run this as sudo, because that will lead to permission issues, and I have faced this. I think that's the reason as to why I have two different instances of Claude running for some reason, Claude Code running for some reason. Okay, so just running this, of course, for me, I think there is a problem with the command they have here. I think that two zeros that are already appended. I don't know where that comes from, but you might just have to remove this and then remove this at the end. And for me, it's already installed. Okay, I, I don't know why. Oh, okay. Claude Code 01. But for me, it probably should just show that. Interesting, it actually updated. I didn't expect that. So what I usually do is that sometimes, depending on how it has been installed, I do need to do source bash rc, and then I can do Claude. If you want general help on like the actual tool itself, you can do Claude help, and it will bring you like all the different things that you can do with it. In my case, I think it's fairly up to date, so I'm just going to do Claude again, and it should bring you into this interface. So it's going to ask you, what do you want? Do you want dark mode? I'll go with dark mode. Since I logged out, now you can see that it's bringing me that option. Since this is the most up-to-date version, you have a couple of options. I think I just lost our beautiful banner for some reason. So you can log in with a subscription, or you can log in with an Anthropic console account. This means that you're going to be paying for the API, pay as you use. This is if you have any one of these subscriptions. So I'm just going to do this. So it's going to open up a web browser in this particular case. And then it's going to tell you Claude Code Max or Pro is required to connect. So depending on what you have, so you might have to put this URL in the browser that you signed into. So you have to sign into claude.ai. Which I don't think is anything too specific. I'm going to take this bar away because it's taking up some real estate. I'm going to accept. So if you haven't run Claude Code before, this is basically the interface. So it works within the terminal. But if you want to, I believe they do have a integration within VS Code. So you can run, I think it's terminal setup. Not that actually. I think it's code IDE. Okay, so this doesn't work in this, but in VS Code, it actually does show up, and it will show up on the sidebar instead of what you have here with cursor. So the first thing that you always want to do is that you want to do an init. And what init does is that it allows Claude Code to go into your entire folder structure and find different patterns of the way you're actually coding. And then it's going to save those for future reference. So when you do init, and I've already hooked mine up to my account. So if you follow the instructions that were inside the blog post, you should be able to do the same thing. I might not have success recreating that because it actually had to uninstall and reinstall a bunch of stuff. So um, I'm just going to show you from the point where you're already done connecting. And this is all running without any sort of tokens inside of the console. This is all running off of the subscription, which is something that you can test. You just don't need to buy any API credits, but as long as you have it, then it should work. All right, so it's going to create that claude.md file. So this is like its memory. So if you wanted to remember stuff, you can put stuff inside here. And what happens is that when the Claude instance, any Claude instance really, you open it inside the terminal, it's going to read this and it's going to put it inside of its working memory, its context really. So we already have this, but I want to say that I am running the app and the billing dashboard is not showing at slash. And you're going to see one of the things that it does really well, and I think you've sort of kind of seen it, is that it really knows how to navigate the code base. So every single time you have a relatively large code base, I think this is even one of the best ways for you to create documentation around a large code base. Uh, I think Cursor is not bad when it comes to all of these different tools as well, but there's a way Claude just does things. So you have an option here to just return the billing dashboard. What I'm going to do is that what you can also actually do if you wanted to like take control over the commands and whatnot, you can just press Shift Tab, and that will tell it that you have auto accept on. So that means that it'll just be able to make its edits, and then for you, have a number of things that you don't really need to keep on accepting. So it says that the billing dashboard should now be a slash. Okay, so you've already fixed that, right? Which is good. So now it's looking good. I think more importantly, I want this data to be coming from a place which is actually existent. So I'm going to tell it two things. One, we have Postgres in my homebrew running. Can you connect the data to come from there? And can you seed the data and allow for basic CRUD on this app? Now, this is a fairly complex prompt because I'm telling it to do multiple things. But the good thing about this is that Claude Code already has its own internal checklist, as you're going to see. And it's going to be able to break this up into tasks and it's going to be able to do them. One other thing that I want to also say is that if you forget anything, so for example, I don't know, you have another command. So let's say we run this. You can also send commands while this is running. So you can say that uh, check the Postgres port. So that's the check mark, the checklist I was telling you about. And you can see that. Um, so I can send another command while this is actually running. And you're going to see that's actually going to be queued inside of that. So it's telling me, do you want to proceed? It's trying to install some packages. Yeah, I'm going to let it just npm install. So I'm okay with this. I know that it's doing the right thing. So that's fine. But you can see that I sent a command just recently. Check the Postgres port that is running on. And this is going to be queued. So after it runs all of these different stages, it's going to come back to that. Yes, I'm going to let it also run the brew services thing. And now it's seen where the Postgres is on my system. Yeah, I'll just let it do that. So it's telling me that it's actually running on port 5432. So that's one way you can actually, if it's running and it's already doing a task, you can steer it using other prompts. So you don't just have to watch it in case it's going off track. Okay, I'm just going to let this do the Prisma integration. But the good thing about this is that once you set it up really and you give it the right direction, which is something I really think that you should spend a lot of time on, once you get it hooked up and it already knows what to do, then it is going to be able to just run through these different tasks. So once you set up, I think the database, which is probably the part that needs the most guidance from the system, it should be able to do the rest on its own. So let's just keep on seeing what it does. And I think if you want that sort of like uh, cursor experience, the terminal, the IDE integration is the one which comes up. And you can use that to actually be able to see like all the diffs that it's making if you're used to that. For me, I think it's okay that you get this trade-off for the ability for it to function like this. So in VS Code, I do use VS Code surprisingly. Um, it does come up. So you can see it's actually going through the checklist one by one, and it's marking them. So when it runs into any errors, it's automatically going to um, fix that, which is a good thing. Okay, so it's been able to create the database. Now it's going to create the seeding script. So you can see that actually it's actually doing a lot of complex things at the same time. So the Prisma, inside of Prisma, we should have a seed.ts file. Um, so here you go. And it's doing npm install tsx. So the reason as to why I like this is because if you set it up the right way, then you pretty much can just go hands off for most of the time. Cool, we're finished with the seeding of the database. Now we're going to create the API routes for the CRUD operations. It's going to create these files. I'm going to allow it to do that. And then you can see it's creating it inside API. It's going to create orders, users, all of these different things. And this is all running as part of my subscription. So I think the problem is if you use Claude desktop or if you use Claude.ai through the web interface, is that if you're doing this, then you're probably going to max out your messages for like the next 5 hours. If you're okay with sacrificing Claude for this purpose of development and using something like Grok or using something like the Gemini um, uh, application or AI Studio, I think it makes sense. So you just basically use Claude for its intended purpose, which is mostly coding, and then you use the rest of the AIs to do things like research. You use them to do simple edits, simple script edits here and there. And I think I found that with this, you can do so much, even with just the $20 subscription. Because if you're getting 45, you're getting 4 sessions a day, in between those sessions, you can probably be doing some code on your own, or you can be using these other tools. You can probably be using it with Cursor as well. Um, yeah, but I feel like it's just great value if you're going to if you're just paying $20 for this. If you're paying $100, I feel like that's where maybe there's a sweet spot for all the payments. But right now, I haven't upgraded. I haven't felt the need to upgrade just yet. Um, but we'll see. We'll see. So it's taking its time. Okay, we have an API file now. It needs to update the payments form to work with the new API structure. Okay, but you can see, right? I'm not telling it where any of the files are. It's figuring that out on its own. Um, and it's also pulling in that information. So, all right, so it's going to test the database integration. Just going to allow this. So you do have some commands that are whitelisted, other commands are not whitelisted. Um, and so that's why you might have to give it access to some of these things. Oh, I can actually tell it right now. So I can press escape and I can tell it it is running on 3003. So you can just press escape at any one point and you can just tell it. All right, so it's going to add a test payment method. I'm going to accept that. Probably should work. I think that did work actually. Okay, so it's going to try deleting, and you can see it's actually doing the testing for you, right? Um, okay, and we've actually run through all of the different applications. And what I love is that when you're done with all of this, you can just tell it to write you some documentation about this, and you can actually be able to use it. So it's telling you that front-end integration we're done. The seeded DB is also done. So I'm going to tell it create a README file for this and add the detailed information. Oh, there's already one, but I think it's going to figure it out because this is like the default. So it's already going to read it, and then it's probably going to remove this because I mean this is just the default Next.js information. So you can see I'm actually being a bit vague. Other tools would need you to be very specific, but um, that's the reason I think that's one of the reasons as to why the Claude models are good. The 3.7 was a bit too crazy to use in this setup because it would do so many different things. But with Sonnet 4, it's actually really good at just figuring out what you want. So you can see that it's already made the billing dashboard, and yep, that's it. It's done. And I think something else that is probably really nice is that you can just come in here and you can just tell it to commit these changes, and it will make very nice commit messages. So you can see it's going to do a git status, it's going to do a git diff, all of these different things to figure out like, okay, what was there before and what are we adding? And then it's going to make one, usually it makes, unless you tell it to, you need to tell it to split it up into logical chunks. Otherwise it will just add everything at once. So, so this is the commit message that it generates. So set up Postgres SQL database, implement comprehensive database schema, full CRUD, build responsive billing dashboard, add payments. Very nice. I don't think I would have written a good commit message like that. And then it checks the git status just to see how everything is going and should report back. Yeah, that's it. So on our side, I think we want to add a payment method, and let's just try to add some basic info. We'll add this, we'll add this, we'll add this. We'll keep that. John will add. No thanks. And where is it? I think this is the one which we just created actually. This one. So maybe we can remove that. Yeah, I think that works actually. View, close apps, general password. That doesn't work. Invitations. Okay. Change plan, subscription. But you can see that actually was able to add the payment method. For now, for the users, we might need to actually actually set that up. I don't know. I don't think it actually added because we only have one page. But yeah, this is the way I would go about using Claude Code. I have found that the combination of V0 and Claude Code is especially um, strong. So if you're able to think and ideate and have your front end within V0, and you can take it from just a screenshot or whatever it is that you want set up. Um, you also need to watch out for the mobile responsiveness for V0. I don't know why that's an issue in some cases. But once you're able to do that, then you're able to just get applications working out of the box. And this is still within so I still have a lot of messages, surprisingly. Maybe I could just check, is it cost? Yeah, you're within your pro, no need to monitor cost. I don't know if I can check usage. But usually what will happen is that it will let you know down here that, hey, you're almost running out of, you're almost at the end of your 5-hour window. So then it will, sorry, you're almost at the end of your 45 message cap. And then it will actually um, let you know in case you want to upgrade. So if you want to upgrade, you can actually just do upgrade, and then that will be able to upgrade to max or higher limits, and that's fine. So I hope you actually learned something or you enjoyed this. If you did, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. But I think Claude Code is probably one of the better coding solutions out there, even without the likes of Cursor and all this. I think using just Claude Code on the $20 subscription is probably the best value for money that you're ever going to get. All right. Thank you so much.